My political power legal panel is here. Former prosecutor Alex Kincaid and attorney Erin Ehrlich. Welcome to you both. So, Alex, you have said Hillary could have been prosecuted on what grounds and why wasn't she?
Well, she could have been prosecuted for violations of multiple statutes, Deirdre. And, you know, there's this focus on intent, and now we hear Comey saying this morning, oh, yes, maybe the facts did fit the crime, but no prosecutor would have followed through because of this little notion of prosecutorial misconduct. I've been practicing criminal law for almost 20 years, and I have used prosecutorial discretion, and I have seen it used on numerous occasions, and this is the antithesis of a situation where that discretion should be used to show lenience to somebody. She has violated national security statutes that have a low standard, not intent, but negligence on multiple occasions, hundreds of occasions as it is, and nothing's being done about it. So it's not a situation where an attorney ordinarily would say, oh, I'm just not going to go forward with this. There is a violation of public trust. There is a violation of the security of this country, and she should be charged, and at a minimum, this should be put to a grand jury.
Erin, you just heard Alex's opinion. I can also add in some details. I read both sides of everything, of course. One thing that has come up is that the quiet little C was not marked confidential enough. She was in 100 countries over X amount of time. There's a lot of volume, and maybe she wasn't as sophisticated, is the term that was used.
I heard that phrase. Sophisticated. So, yeah, so she blatantly disregarded, or she's so unsophisticated that she doesn't know what is classified when she's in charge of knowing that.
Look, Erin, what is your opinion?
Look, my opinion is that Director Comey has a reputation of being a straight shooter. He has a reputation of having his moral compass pointing in the north direction. If he says straight-faced to Congress that there was no evidence of intent, we need to accept that. We need to
accept the American people disagree with him.
Yes, but that's what the election's for. Let this now fall into
That's not what the election is for.
Yeah, I want to keep it, if you don't mind, Erin,
that's what our legal framework is for.
There's absolutely no precedent for someone being charged under this statute based upon gross negligence.
Okay, that is the point I want to get. I want to keep it in a legal framework for the point of the conversation.
I have a point on that.
But let me finish, please. Let me finish. There's always been an evidence of intent to violate the classification laws, or
except the statute says gross negligence, and people
there's never been a prosecution based on
so we can just review the facts, which Comey himself suggested today, saying, listen, in the past 100 years, or we have to go back to 1917 to have this distinction made between gross negligence.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that one case actually that you're referring to, it wasn't even litigated to its conclusion. So a prosecutor, their consideration isn't just whether there's a prima facie showing for an indictment. It's about whether there's a successful path to a conviction. What prosecutor wants to take
And there is overwhelming evidence for a conviction in this case.
There's absolutely no
prosecutor
here.
So many prosecutors have come forward and said,
last question
we
to
can
you.
win this
I want to ask
trial.
you this. What about Hillary Clinton's lawyers? Could they be charged for destroying federal property?
I think that destruction of evidence doesn't in any way pass the smell test. Those lawyers should not have been allowed to handle that property, number one. The FBI should have seized it immediately rather than relying on the person who would be the defendant and her lawyers to turn that information over. And what we saw was the obvious outcome and why evidence is usually seized in the first place rather than leaving it up to the criminal. So, yes, evidence was destroyed, and the lawyers should at least be questioned about that. This is a situation where they should be prosecuted as well.
Alex,
I do agree with that.
Thank you both. Needed both your legal minds here. Appreciate it.